welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurs in Fuego. We're documenting the journey of incredible entrepreneurs. My new best friend, Kelly.
Hi,
Meadows.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Boongarden.
Yeah.
Great concept.
Thank you.
And you please describe what Boongarden is all about.
Well, in the shortest sentence possible.
Oh, you can take the whole 1 hour of this interview.
I get a whole hour, right? It is an art and garden space that also has coffee, tea, fraps, lemonades, and little treats. The main focus is the art and the garden space.
You've been able to create a community garden, but you've added all these other elements to it. So you're creating really a much larger community than just a urban garden.
Yeah, the idea was to be a community building space where people can come and enjoy the garden, see the garden. If kids come, they can learn, like, oh, that's what a tomato looks like on the vine. While their mom is sipping a smoothie or a coffee, they can get out there and have a look at that kind of thing. Maybe they haven't ever seen what the food looks like growing. They've only seen it in a can.
Is that? I think that is really happening. I mean, we take. I suppose we take it for granted that our kids are growing up knowing where tomatoes come from or how is it looked at in a vine, but that's not necessarily true.
It seems like there's a little bit of a movement starting slowly with urban farming, with people getting more into growing gardens in their backyard and, you know, getting back to nature, homesteading even a little bit. I see
Sure.
more and more books about homesteading. We actually even have a water harvesting demonstration there. I have 2 large tanks. Water harvesting.
What is that?
That's where you keep the water that
forgive me.
falls onto your property from the rain. You keep it on your property and you use it. So we have
How do you store it? I mean,
two ways of demonstrating it. One of them is 2 large water tanks stacked on top of each other. It comes from the roof through a pipe and then goes in, and we store that. So we'll use that as necessary. So when hasn't been raining and we need to water the garden, we'll use that water. The second demonstration that I have is on the other side of the building. There's just a downpour and it just comes off, and we've built a little, like a little ditch. It's called swales and berms, and that brings the water just directly over to one side of the garden where the fruit trees are. And I actually learned that in my Master Gardener class. One of the teachers was very, very involved in that, and I was volunteering, and she showed me this, and I was so excited by it that I went back, and then not shortly after it rained, you know, so I got video of the water just coming right off the roof and traveling right where it was supposed to go.
That's pretty cool, actually. And all right, so you created Boongardens how long ago?
We've been open for 5 weeks.
5 weeks. It's 2016. It's November 2016. So
I've been
5 weeks ago.
rehabbing the building since January.
All right.
So it was a vacant building. It had been vacant for about 6 years. No power, no water.
And this is where?
It's on Western Avenue in historic Avondale.
All right.
It's a historic Avondale Arts District.
All right.
And
You take over this building, you start rehabbing it, and now you're creating a community. How is the community reacting to your project?
We're getting a really good response. I mean, there are people just wanting a little bit more culture in the West Valley, wanting a place to go that's not necessarily, you know, just video games and pool tables and things like that. We're getting a lot of that,
Yes.
but something that, you know, is a little bit more cultural. There's art, there's an old building that's been restored, you know, the garden. The whole backyard is 7 raised beds and then fruit trees all down the side. So everything in there is an edible landscape.
All right, I get all this, but me being the pragmatic guy, and I don't want to rain on the parade and harvest whatever.
We like the rain.
All right. You're creating this incredible bucolic world, and it's beautiful and it's romantic. How do you make money out of it? How do you capitalize? Because after all, this is a show about entrepreneurs, and this looks great. It sounds very good, and all this community building is phenomenal. But unless you are a nonprofit organization and getting all this money from all these people that did what you do, then at some point bills come due.
Right. And if I had known how to start it as a nonprofit, I may have gone that route. But I'm
We're gonna have
sort
to
of
talk.
a serial entrepreneur.
Gotcha.
So I only know how to do it as a business, and I wanted to create some jobs along the way. And so the way that I make money is with the coffee. So
Okay.
it was sort of a stacking functions type of thing where we would use the coffee and the tea, the grounds, out in the garden. So we're reusing those for that, but that's also when people come in and buy coffee, tea, smoothies, and things, that is the main profit source, so that I can have the art and the garden available.
Because if one were to scale this to other communities, because this is really a community building exercise, really, isn't it? And it can perdure for years and years, because people do grow around art and gardening and all these things that we're kind of ditching aside to video games and things that keep it inside our homes, right? So for somebody that is watching this video or listening to the podcast and whatnot, and they're saying, I want to do that in my community, but my challenge is how do I make it sustainable? And so you have to find, and in your case, you found coffee as being the driving vertical for your income.
Right. I would say, just to tack on to that, the next step for me would be getting this up and running so that it is taking care of itself, and continue to improve Western Avenue. So you want to sort of continue growing the area around where you've chosen to start. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's another vacant building. If I could get that other vacant building right now and get that going, and the next dream is to create artist space where everyone can have their own space and have a showing area in the front and participate in that, and you continue to help the people around you that are, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I absolutely get what you're saying, and unfortunately, in the past 10, 15 years, the way that some neighborhoods that have been dilapidated or affected by the economic downturn or bad luck or mismanagement by the local politicians, the way that some of these communities have been able to be gentrified is by bringing in the likes of big companies such as Starbucks or big chains, that the moment the community sees, oh, we've got a Starbucks in our community, then people start buying around it, unfortunately. So to your point, to buy the next building and so on and so on and so on, I think that moving the community and getting the local politicians involved, I think, begins the process of gentrification.
well, the good news is that the city of Avondale is very involved in sustainability, gardening. They have a big community garden.
Yes.
They're very, very interested. A lot of the people themselves that work for the city of Avondale are like that. So I got very lucky that where I happen to do what I'm doing is, they're helpful.
You had to involve the community, the politicians, everybody that is part of the community in order for you to, and for your project to become sustainable itself. Mm-hmm. The biggest challenge so far for you as an entrepreneur, as a Boongardener?
The biggest challenge? I mean, that's a really tough question, because I am just one of those people, I see what needs to be done and I just go do it. I don't put a whole lot of thought into the problem.
Yes.
How it could be a problem.
You've seen beyond the problem and just getting the solution.
And I usually find a solution. I don't really take no for an answer. If someone says you need, no, you can't do this, then I'll say, well, why can't we do this? And we try to find a solution to get around it, and that usually works pretty well.
Kelly Meadows, you're my favorite person for the whole month of December.
Awesome.
And it's just the 1st of December now, so that's it. We're just going to kill December, man. That's it. That's it. I mean, this is really fascinating. This goes to the essence of entrepreneurship, right? Not looking at obstacles, but rather at the solution. Getting the community involved, because the more you get people involved, the better the chance of success, right? Because everybody's bought into your idea, into your dream.
Absolutely. And I didn't even talk about the gardening classes and the ways that we're trying to involve the community. We want the local people that are in our direct area to be coming in, but we also want people from surrounding areas in the West Valley to be coming down. And so we're starting in January, we're starting gardening classes. I also have a plan for a disaster preparedness class, just because I feel like in Arizona.
What kind of disaster?
A natural disaster. Well, any kind of disaster, really. In California, we have earthquakes. In Florida, we have hurricanes. You know, we're a little spoiled here.
Here in Arizona, we have Sheriff Joe Arpaio, but he's out already, so there's no more disaster. So we're all right, I think, for a while.
Okay. Well, I usually try to keep a little bit of water on hand and, some extra canned goods
Do you have
just
chickens?
in case. I don't. I would love to have chickens, but I do have an awesome garden at my house.
You're my best friend.
Aw.
And you are, that's it. We're declaring Kelly Meadows Month. That's it.
Well, thank you
You're the best
so
interview.
much.
That's
I
it.
appreciate it.
Shut it down. That's it. We're done. With that, we're out.